you see PBL presentation, and that PBL presentation, you have to go through it. If I open the menu here on the side, you see there's a bunch of parts to that. It guides you to all the steps of what I want you guys to complete. Sample work. You can watch the videos. This is done by Miami-Dade. You have different type of videos presentations to see what I'm expecting. You have the pre-presentation sample, which is another video. What is a good presentation? What is a bad presentation? A rubric and a copyright release form, which you have to submit. Okay? And then you enter the part of the presentation, which is divided into 3 steps. Part 1, 2, and 3 tells you topic and tasks, data and bibliography, and then presentation video. So when you click in here, this one let me click. So when you click in there, it's supposed to tell you part 1, topic and task, and it tells you what's the purpose, right? Select a topic and field project. Topic selection is open, so you can select whatever topic you want. Suggest a link right there. You click on it and you find different suggestions from A to Z diseases. Okay, you can talk about anything. All you have to do is relate it to a part of the class. Okay, for an informative guide, right? Read below on task number 2, task 1, task 2, presentation PBL guide, and equally distribute tasks in your groups. So you're doing this in a group. So task 2 says download the document, presentation PBL guide. So this is your guide. Okay, if you click in there, it's going to give you a link to an outside, and that is the guide. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. Just read it and follow the instructions. Okay, if there's something that you don't understand, please feel forward that information to me. On this side, there are a bunch of links, and you can click to it. I highly recommend that you link your presentation to something that is current, to a news, to a YouTube video. You know, why you are doing this, and what is the purpose of you doing it? What impact are you going to have in your community? That's at the end. That's pretty much what you need to focus on. Okay?
Do you answer those questions and then go by that, or do you answer those questions to put together your own presentation?
Both. Step 1 is you select the topic.
Okay.
Step 2 is what is the main effect of focus your topic. It says please display chemical structure of each. So it's going to give you an instruction. But if you answer those questions, you are creating the presentation in the format that I want you guys to do.
Oh, okay.
So it is, yes, answer the questions.
Every single one.
But then the question is going to have more expanding of what to think, how you answer that question.
Okay.
So I'm going to direct you how to answer the question. For example, for this section, right, it says, what is the main effect and or focus of your topic, right? So you're going to explain that one, but then also tells you, please display chemical structure of each. So if you're talking about a medication, if you're talking about a cosmetic, a label, or something that has a label or a structure or chemical structure, just display the structure. Really simple. You don't have to go into details. Okay. So I don't know, glue, tires, cigarettes, gasoline, petroleum, whatever it is that you're displaying. Try to display the chemical structures so people from all disciplines are able to understand what you're talking about. You get it? Really simplistically. So link to recent related news articles, videos, and other convincing evidences. So if you have a news article that you want to go by, that tells you that is relevant, right? Convincing evidence, anything that you can prove. So make a strong point for a presentation introduction. So this is part of your what? Introduction. So up to that level is the introduction. From there on, you're going to talk about what? What effects does that cause? how does it affect the economy individually and the US and world? Let's say, for example, you're talking about, I don't know, drugs, a specific type of drug. Well, how does it affect the economy of individual? You first say, well, the, I don't know, United States of America know that there is, and you can find this information, such amount of money is spent people that use this type of drug. If we break down this to an individual, that individual, if it consumes drugs every single day or every week, will spend this amount of money based on the average street value that is on a joint, per se. At the end of the year, the individual spends this amount of money, something that impacts. It's not about talking about a drug. It's not talking about a product. Let's say, I don't know, a moisturizer. You want to talk about a moisturizer. The same thing goes. How much money is in the economy for it? How much money does it cost average? How much money you spent in the products? If you buy a moisturizer, it's going to last you for about a month or 2 or 3, depends. So, and then you put that into a number. So you're trying to impact the people, saying, if you go for this moisturizer, this is the money that you're going to spend on a yearly basis, on a week or a yearly basis. This is the effect that it's going to take on your economy and the US and or the world, if you find information on the world. How does it affect the government policies? You guys know that policies change according to consumer reports, correct?
Yeah.
So Food Drug Administration had allowed, and other regulatory parties allow for the COVID-19 vaccines to be implemented within what?
A year and a half.
Does that ever happen?
No.
No. Point made, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. For cigarettes, for alcohol, for drugs, now almost every state is pushing to legalize marijuana. Why? Because it's profitable. People are demanding it. And they hope by legalizing, it would just take the massive amount of consumption, and then businesses, people that still are fairly addicted or attracted to the product, will keep using it, and it just makes more revenue. And take the edge of kids. Like if you're in high school and you ever tried drugs, right? You tried the joint just because somebody was trying it and it was illegal. It's like, oh, I'm doing illegal things. Yes. If it's legal, then it's like, oh, whatever. Everybody does it. So, no. So that's the point. Point taken?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How does it impact climate and or in the environment? By drugs, that you impact the climate. Because all these chemicals, when you cook them, they release chemicals into the atmosphere. You can list these chemicals. And you can find on the FDC website, the chemicals, what's the percentage and what does it cause. You get it?
Yeah.
So this chemical might cause such and such and such. Okay? If you're talking about smoking, well, that's part of the pollution, right?
Yeah.
If it's water contamination, we'll talk about water contamination. Whatever product you're doing, you're going to link it to something. Okay? So how does it affect us? Health impact. How does it affect the individual health? That's where you actually link it to the physiology, right? Anatomy and physiology. So represent any of the effects, compare table formulas, use chart with data representation. That's the data that I want you to get or to gather, okay? Worldwide on US. If you find both, even better, but at least you need to know to do what? US, right?
Yeah.
All right. So data not older than 2016 because, you know, that's too old. It doesn't make, so what type of data? Pie or bar chart or both?
All right.
Okay. What specific physiological events are compromised? Again, part of our course, right?
Yeah.
Physiology. If it's affecting the organ, if it's affecting a specific system, how does it affect it? If you're talking about a pathology, instead of a cream or a product, you're talking about a pathology, a disease of a person, explains the effect on the diseases caused at the cellular tissue level. If you're talking about a product, how the moisturizer affects us? Because the moisturizer is able to go through the skin, right? So what chemical structures are in there that allow you to permeate the skin so you can hydrate your skin?
Right.
So that's affecting what? The cellular, the tissue, and the integumentary system and organ level. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So that is your topic. And then This is more towards the diseases. Predisposition factors and impact means what factors will cause you to elicit or increase the chances of you having or acquiring or developing the disease. Age, you guys know as you age, I don't know, let's talk about liver. As you age, every single organ starts to decrease in the actual detoxification process, right? Or filtration process. So as you age, your liver is going to be damaged. Your hair falls off. Okay, your joints denature. Your heart muscle cannot beat as fast as it did. Okay, your hormones decreases. So age is predisposition factor. Genetics, if there's any specific genes. For example, for breast cancer, there's BRCA1 and BRCA2, which is directly relation to ovarian and breast cancer. So whoever that genetic material predisposition, they're going to have a high risk of it. Okay, gender. Is that a male or female? Who is more prone to get it? Okay. If you're talking about drugs, let's talk about who actually consumes drugs. Kids within kindergarten, high school, or preschool, or teenagers, or well-developed individuals. Depends on the drug. You guys know that not everybody's able to afford what? What is the most expensive drugs? Okay, compare a marijuana with cocaine.
Oh yeah, coke is the most expensive drug. Yeah.
So do you think that a high school student will have enough money to buy cocaine?
No.
Unless it comes from a rich family or a well-off family. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's why age sometimes. Is it more prone in males or in females into a certain age group? That's what we're trying to do.
All right.
Okay. Lifestyle. Does a typical lifestyle increases your risk? Let's say, for example, you like to drink like there's no tomorrow, because tomorrow we don't know what's going on. It's COVID-19, right? You're going to eat fried food for every single day. You got to party all night. Who cares about sleeping? We got to party today, and we got to live our life today. Tomorrow, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Is that a lifestyle?
No.
It is a lifestyle.
It is a lifestyle.
Yeah,
Would that going to last?
no,
Yeah,
no.
probably until you were 30 or 35, right? And then you're probably going to end up with some sort of problems or dead. Yeah. If you drink, you do illegal drugs, right? Cocaine, marijuana.
You don't sleep.
You top it off with alcohol, and then you don't sleep, you barely sleep. That's going to end up with something,
Yeah, for sure.
whether you like it or not. It may take 20, 15, or 40 years, but I don't think you're going to last up to 50, most likely, unless you stop it. All right. Mental disorders. Is there any mental disorders that make you more prone to a lifestyle or gender or whatever? Because there are diseases and mental disorders, right? There are multiple mental disorders. Environmental. So the environment, okay? Based on where you live, does that affect you?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. If you live in the Middle East versus living in the United States, or living in Texas versus living in a rural or non-rural area, that may expose you to more contaminants or less. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Impact. I don't know, you can barely see it. You have to download it. Okay. I'm not downloading it.
Yeah.
So local, environmental, or global impact. So based on these chemical structures, like we said before, are you impacting the environment locally or the whole world? How that chemical affects the world overall? Okay. Economy. We talked about the economy, right? That's the impact. We talked about economy. Governmental policies changes. Find out if there's any policy that regulates this. For example, the drugs, no, alcohol. If you guys know, the proper or the amount of alcohol that you can consume
Yeah. There's one drink.
has been increased. Yeah, it's one drink per day.
Yeah.
So if you have one drink per day, one beer per day, for 7 days a week, do you know that you're not considered to be an alcoholic?
Yeah.
Do you really think that by drinking a beer a day, you're not considered to be an alcoholic?
No. I disagree. If you drink a beer a day, you're an alcoholic.
It may not have the amount, because the way that they structure it is based on the % of alcohol, right? Beers in the United States have a percentage of 6 to 8, okay? Wines have, I think, is up to 12. I don't think it's 16. And then you have hardcore alcohol, right? Which of course the amounts are different.
Yeah.
But if you get a line of I don't know, of vodka, tequila, whiskey a day, that is a drink per day, a line. If you drink a line of that hard drink every single day of the week for 7 days a week for 365 days a year, you're not considered to be an alcoholic. Are you kidding me? I mean, based on the regulations and rules dictated by the government within the United States, they state that. But who does that affect? It affects us, becoming more prone to being dependent on a product that we really don't need. Do you really need to drink alcohol in order to be alive?
No.
Is that part of your daily diet? Is something going to happen if you don't drink? Of course not. Or smoke? Or take drugs? Of course not. But who is actually getting better by all this? The economy, right? The people that controls the drug and the food. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So laws and regulations are made in such a way, sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, to benefit whoever donated most amount of money for trials, the ones that you are downloading and putting the data together. Okay, so that's why you have to be who is behind this trial. Let's say Pfizer wants to do a trial for COVID-19. They paid a bunch of scientists to do the trial. Do you think that Pfizer is gonna pursue the money for that trial to come out to be negative? To say all of them, the drug had less than 50% efficiency and efficacy, while they're paying billions of money on this? Of course not. That's why they have pre-trials, right? They have in-lab trials. And hopefully by the time they get trials, they get a good number. But the number is not always going to be 80 or 90. I've been in medical trials. Sadly, that's not always the case. You get it?
Yeah,
I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just a way of opening your eyes to all the things that are happening.
Okay.
Okay? This is your country. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. So then, of course, the best way to do that is try to create some sort of infographics, right? Or comparative charts. Instead of writing all that down, you're going to write a lot. Just put it in a table or an info chart. Okay, you can find a lot of them on the internet. So compare and contrast the risk factors and impact in the worldwide. You can do a check mark if you guys want to, right? So again, try to keep it simple. So what methods are being used currently and in the near future to prevent world for total contamination and spread? Maybe your topic does it. Maybe the drug can contaminate it. Maybe there's a chemical product in the drug that can contaminate it. If you're talking about pollution, if you're talking about water quality, if you're talking about petroleum, if you're talking about electricity, right? There are different things, okay, for this. So what methods should we, and of course, if it does not apply, please research, then you don't have to answer that one, okay? So what methods should we as an individual employ to decrease contamination? You guys know that you contaminate the water by peeing excess amounts of vitamins, right? And the most rich pee or urine in the whole world is the one in the United States. If you guys don't believe me, compare the daily values, okay, required by United Kingdom and United States of vitamins, just vitamins. And you're going to see that here in the United States is 1 times increase or double the amount, or 1.5 the amount of daily values. Who's benefiting?
The United States.
The companies that sell the vitamins here, right? I'm not saying they're wrong, probably they're right, and United Kingdoms are wrong, but why such of a big difference? You know, always expect to have you know, a little bit of difference, but not double.
Yeah.
For some of them, not all of them, for some of them. So could this, okay, so the next one says, what tools can we use to test for your topic? So if you're picking a topic of water contamination, what tools would you use? Just research what tools they use to check the water, okay? If they're, you know, if you're talking about a moisturizer, what tools do they use in able to measure the proper amount of chemicals within the moisturizer, and so on. Could this cause the opportunity to a new business application? I'm making you think outside healthcare. Business application, and I know I'm going off healthcare, but think about this. Everything in life is a business, whether you like to believe it at this moment or not. Before COVID-19, and I'm going to talk about stock market. I don't know if you guys follow it or not. Pfizer and all these drug companies, where were they? The stocks were on the floor.
Yeah.
After COVID-19 and all this demand, what happened to the stock market? It went boom, like everything. If you develop a product, and now there's a huge demand, there's an opportunity for a business application.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity for a grant. United States grant funded. You can get funded for your opportunity that you created. So government assistance or funded support. Example, Pfizer vaccine, you can click on it. I have proof for that. All right, data which pretty much wins banking of US and FDA staff. Okay, so what areas should we test for in case you have that topic that you can test for something? When can we test for drugs? Heck, like 2 or 3 semesters ago, we tested. We created a survey, and we start testing everybody here in campus. We sent a survey that was pretty much didn't pick up the names, right? And then we asked the students whether they ever used drugs and what type of drugs they used before. Your name is not going to show, but we got that data.
Gotcha.
So that's a survey. So what does that tell us? Well, it tells us what?
Literally all the stuff you want to know. Who's using the drugs in your community?
This is actually now you're putting your topic into actual what?
Application.
Application. And if this data is massive enough, like you're able to, let's say, out of the 10,000 students or 4,000 students that the school has within West Campus, you're able to get 60%. That's a well-off data. So you can present your data anywhere else you want to.
Gotcha.
It is significant for your test sample. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then, of course, your bibliography at the end. Okay, that summarizes pretty much what I want you guys to do.